Lobby group AfriForum plans to have the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, that's Nersa, compelled to reimburse consumers for electricity tariffs imposed since July of this year. Now, the High Court in Gauteng rejected Nersa's application for leave to appeal a decision made by the same court that the regulator's consideration of municipalities' application to impose tariff hikes was unlawful. It's a bit of a mouthful. Let's unpack it now with AfriForum's head of local government, Morne Mostert. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. Can you give us, Morne, some background to this case? What was the cost of supply study that municipalities were meant to undertake?
So sadly, even 10 years ago, there was a legislative obligation on any municipal license or any licensee, but specifically municipalities, that must draft cost of supply studies, which is basically a document that can reference all separate parts of delivering the electricity service. They must do a study of it using actual data, using actual figures on what the amount of infrastructure is and all of the data, almost like a sort of business plan. But that is a prerequisite from Nersa to be able to sell electricity to consumers. So they must have drafted one of these documents, and this document needs to be updated every 5 years. But since the inception of the legislation, Nersa never really applied this law to municipalities. So what happened was municipalities would request a tariff increase, at Nersa, but it wouldn't be based on actual figures. It would be based on a percentile increase that maybe they receive from, as regard to the Eskom tariff increase, or they would just have this percentile increases that increase the tariffs fourfold in 10 years' time. So what then happened was, in a previous judgment, the court said to Nersa, okay, you have a set time to ensure that to ensure that municipalities comply with this cost of supply framework, and they're given time. And then AfriForum, we wrote to Nersa on several occasions to request to them what their process is going forward, how is the process being for municipal compliance, and then right at the end, it came out that there isn't really compliance. Nersa never responded to us.
Right.
Then we were forced back to courts, and so then we did get that court order, and then naturally Nersa appealed it, which means that the court order didn't have any effect. And now that leave to appeal has now been dismissed.
Right. So out of 178 licensed distributors, only 66, I think, is the number that has conducted these cost of supply studies. So that means 112 municipalities have been charging unlawful rates to consumers for more than a month now. So where do these municipalities, where are they in the country? And in terms of actually getting some redress for clients who have been overpaying or have been overcharged for the past month, I imagine the situation in terms of getting a refund is harder for prepaid customers.
Yes, this nightmare was generated by Nersa themselves together with the municipalities. When the order was granted in the past, we requested Nersa to start implementing the court order for the administrative reasons that you just mentioned now, and they were reluctant to do so, and now they are at this point. Just secondly, for the 66 municipalities, that was a figure that was given by SALGA themselves, where they worked with municipalities. So it might be that that figure is much less that was given. But the important part still is that municipalities that do not have a cost of supply studies must now go back and apply the tariffs that is the same as the previous financial year's electricity tariffs. So we wrote an urgent letter to Nersa to say what are their process going to be to ensure that municipalities complies with this court order. We have not received back from them, and we want specific figures on what municipalities did apply and did give Nersa the specific cost of supply studies. Now, on the remedial side, AfriForum, we will shortly launch a section on our website where disgruntled consumers can go in and download a dispute form which we will draft and make available, that could ensure that anyone that is part of these municipalities, which has an impact on their life, they can go and download this dispute form, and this dispute will ensure that municipalities can't use any enforcement mechanism like actually turning your power off against you because you state that there is a dispute regarding the account, and the physical dispute is that the municipality is not implementing the correct tariff to the specific individual or business.
Yeah, Morne, the question that springs to mind is, I mean, might this be behind the issue that so many residents raise around being overcharged, or getting the sense that they are being overcharged for electricity? And might it even precede July of this year?
Yes, that's one of the reasons that the court the previous decision already said that consumers are paying exorbitant amounts for electricity. This was obviously again found in our court, but it went this court went so far to say that this year, where there's no electricity price increase for these municipalities, it should energize them to actually go and do the cost of supply studies. It should energize them to actually try and be competent and prudent electricity distributors to get this to sort their house out before the next financial year. So obviously there's exorbitant amounts that are already being levied. That has been made clear by court. But I do think the AfriForum's largest strategy is forward-looking, in the sense that if a municipality then goes and publishes a cost of supply study, then it must be ruthlessly criticized, or rather, then it must be audited. It must be sure, the community must go and ensure that the financials that are used in this cost of supply study is the correct one. So there's still work to be done in future, but at least then you have some sense on what exactly you are paying for when you are paying for electricity tariff, which currently and almost for the past 10 years was not the fact with most municipalities in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. Morne Mostert, let me thank you for your time this afternoon. AfriForum's head of local government, the organisation planning to have Nersa reimburse consumers who have been overcharged since July. Certainly a big story that we continue to track insofar as our power challenges are concerned.